Welcome everyone to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's up, everyone? So today we're going to break down the UFC 226 card, which is happening this Saturday, live from Vegas, and we're going to talk about some news. So to begin, what was turning out to be one of the best cards of the year, it's unfortunate that we have to say Max Holloway has dropped from the card. He has concussions-like symptoms that made him,
His management staff pretty much came out and just decided to decline the fight with Ortega due to concussion-like symptoms.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that Holloway has been pulling out really late into cards that has the UFC scrambling to find fights last minute for big fighters, For example, he was supposed to fight Frankie Edgar his last fight, and Brian Ortega ended up taking over, knocking out Frankie Edgar, making a name for himself to fight Max Holloway, and now he's bailing out of this one.
I wouldn't say bailing. Bailing is the wrong word to use, but I gotta say something. Having concussion-like symptoms, as they call it, is very critical for a fighter. I mean, we're talking about fighters that, because of concussions, they're not fighting. Because of concussion, they're retiring early. And he's already seeing symptoms of this. It started to worry me now because I love Max Holloway, and I think he's one of the greatest fighters to ever grace the octagon in the lightweight division. And it's unfortunate that we're starting to see this so early when he's technically in his prime.
No, I know, but there's a difference. When you have a concussion, this could have been a fight that he probably did a while back.
It's definitely not that.
No.
It has to be do with training.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't. That's what I meant. It could have been a sparring with somebody and then getting hit. So it has nothing to do with it's going to happen to anybody in the sport. It could literally happen whether you're a boxer, whether you're a mixed martial artist. It's bound to happen. Stuff like that is bound to happen. You can't avoid stuff like that. But it shows you maybe how hard he's training, how hard he's going in the gym when he's doing it. That's the biggest takeaway I take from this. Pushing a little back sometimes is a plus going into big fights like this, man. He's literally single-handedly has cost the UFC a ton of money because of it.
It's very unfortunate. One of the other news was that they just finished booking Volkan Ozdemir versus Alexander Gustafsson, which finally we have Gustafsson back in the octagon, which I've been wanting to see forever now. And I really do believe that if Donald Cormier decides to stay in that heavyweight division, we're going to have a new champion, and it's going to be Alexander Gustafsson. I really do believe that.
What would really stabilize Cormier's legacy would be beat Stipe, and I'm not overlooking Stipe. First of all, I will get into that. I think that's something we'll get into. But dropping down and fighting Gustafsson and beating Gustafsson, almost giving enough time for John Jones to bounce back and bounce into that heavyweight division and going back up and fighting. Like there's so much fights for Cormier, which is what makes him such an amazing fighter.
I agree.
You won't see someone like Stipe dropping down weight class. That's generally he's dropping a little bit of weight just to make heavyweight. There's no way he's going to be able to make light heavyweight. Anyways, moving forward, to put the light on Volkan versus Gustafsson, amazing card.
Yeah,
the UFC nailed it.
Absolutely nailed it. I think it was the perfect time for both fighters to take this fight, and we're going to see the results of that. It's going to be, for either fighter, it's going to be an amazing outcome, either or. So looking forward to that. The other one that they also just booked was Shogun Rua, who's going to be fighting against Anthony Smith. Now, as you know, Anthony Smith knocked out Rashard Evans in the first round in the last card. So because he knocked out Rashard Evans so early, it gives him the rights to step right into the next card and take this fight against a legend like Shogun Rua. So really looking for this fight as well. We'll break it down a little more once it gets there, but
when we get close, I think
for
we'll
sure.
break it down. But I will say this: if Smith could find a way to beat another legend of the sport, it's interesting how they're putting him up against someone like Rashard, really young guy, by the way, really young guy. I think it's in his
crazy
20s.
hands, man, crazy hands.
Speed, I mean, you could tell that the level of speed he had versus someone like Rashard Evans. And the reason why I say that is because Rashard was older. He really made Rashard retire. Rashard realized, I cannot hang with these young guys. He was supposed to retire. Now let him fight Shogun. Let's see what he could do with Shogun And if he's able to do the same thing with Shogun, I could almost see Shogun considering retirement after this too.
I happen
he could
to
be
agree
the
with
legend
you.
killer. You know what I mean?
Could be.
Put that in his resume, man.
All right. So that's that. Now let's start the predictions for UFC 226. It's happening this Saturday, live from Vegas. Because of the Max Holloway, should I say, dropped from the card, they decided to implement different fighters in this card, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the first card...
By the way, real fast, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC last minute decides to throw Ortega in there with somebody. There's rumors of Jeremy Stevens, there's rumors of Frankie Edgar coming back. Who knows?
I don't think they're going to... I think Brian Ortega said he doesn't want to.
But
if they do, who knows? Yeah, exactly. It'll be very interesting at the end of the day. The first fight in the card, to start off with the banger heavyweights, we got Gokhan Saki finally back, which I was dying to watch. He's an animal. He's fighting against Khalil Roundtree Jr., which is another animal. There's going to be a knockout. Who's going to knock who out is only a matter of time before we see. Who do you have in this fight, sir?
You know what? Oh, I won the last fight, right?
Right.
Shit, I don't know, man. I'm not familiar. The junior guy, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't recall them fighting, which is interesting because you said.
Yeah, man, these guys are bangers. I mean, either or.
What's the guy's name?
Roundtree Jr. Khalid Roundtree.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm going for Gokhan Saki. I think Gokhan Saki, not the best performance, but
it's the bigger name going into this fight.
Without a doubt, Gokhan Saki is the bigger name in this card. The card that should have been the fight that should have happened a couple of cards ago before McGregor threw that trolley through the window. It was Michael Chiesa, should I say, versus Anthony Rumble Pettis. This is did I say that correct? Showtime Pettis. Anthony Showtime Pettis. This is a card that, is up in the air because of Pettis' performance of late and because of the way that Michael has been fighting. I think it's a very intriguing fight. Since I get to choose, I'm going to go for Anthony Pettis on this fight. You could pick him.
I got Anthony winning this fight. I will say, shout out to Chelsea. I think he's a great fighter. I just do not see Anthony lose. First of all, Anthony is in a die-hard need of a victory. Die-hard need of victory. He's easily one of these guys that's been so good that has drastically dropped. If he loses this fight, Sergio, his little brother, is making such a big name for himself in this weight class that I wouldn't be surprised if Demetrius Johnson is forced to fight him. But Showtime is no longer going to be known as the Showtime. You know what I mean?
I agree, man.
He needs this victory, and he needs to be done very well.
But with that being said, we both got Showtime. If Showtime loses, he's going to get submitted. That's all I'm going to say. If he does, but I'm still going with Showtime, with that being said. And I do believe Showtime can knock him out.
Or submit him,
yeah. The next fight who took over for the Max Holloway fight is Paul Felder, who's going to be fighting against Mike Perry, which is going to be a tremendous fight. So you got this one next.
I got Paul Felder winning just because of Mike Perry's performance as of late. First of all, my personal opinion is Perry should not be the third guy in an event this big. Perry shouldn't be there. My personal opinion. He's shown signs of weakness. He's shown signs of not improving going back into the octagon, and back to back he's been winded to the point where if you find a way to grind out, the thing about Perry is that he's unpredictable with his striking. If Perry catches you, fight's over. If not, you find a way to wear him out during late in the second and third round. He no longer becomes the powerful Mike Perry with the right hand. That's when Paul Felder kicks in, and Paul Felder is one of these guys who's so well-rounded, but still hasn't hit that mark that he thinks he really wants.
And I do agree with you with that.
And we had mentioned something about Paul Felder. We had mentioned, and that this came from you because I'm pretty sure you heard this from someone else, was the whole he's a commentator as well. He should step away from commentating and just dedicate 100% into the sport.
I think that any fighter should. Any fighter that does commentating and then transitions over to fighting, it doesn't always plan out the way things maybe it should. I know financially is definitely, a bonus for them. But you start to see...
And not to mention that Paul is amazing at what he does.
Oh, I mean, he's one of the great commentators of the UFC. Now, the problem with that is that he's a full-time fighter. And as a full-time fighter, I'm not a fighter, but I could tell you that professional MMA fighters are saying this. Like, you cannot juggle, should I say, these type of ventures in your life at the time where you need to strive to hit that peak that Paul Felder should have had or will have if he drops commentating. And again, my personal opinion and a lot of opinions of a lot of professional MMA fighters as well.
I will say, with that being said, the only person who's been dominating doing that is Daniel Cormier. So shout out to Daniel Cormier for doing that.
Dude, yeah, word up. But with that being said, you said you have Paul Felder. I might have to pick Paul Felder as well. I don't see Mike Perry winning this fight, definitely not by knockout, and he's going to get winded within the second round, and you're going to see Paul Felder take over from this fight.
I would hope that this is a motivation for Mike Perry to really put a name in there, because his talent could be endless, but he needs to show signs of improvement.
Absolutely. Ooh, now this is the one that we've been waiting for so bad. Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis.
Let him know.
Oh my God. So who do I got for this fight?
Hold on a second. Is it your turn?
Yeah. You pick for. Well, it doesn't really matter. I've been going back and forth. What could really happen? These are two people that have tremendous right and left hands.
Just power, man. There's so much power.
The power going into the 100%. You're completely right. I believe that Derek Lewis is gonna go for the takedown, and I believe that Derek Lewis is gonna grind him out. And I do believe that as much people think that they're gonna see a knockout, I think I'm going to give a decision to Derek Lewis. I really do. I believe that he's not going to stand with an animal like Francis Ngannou. I don't believe that. Now, with that being said, Derek Lewis has tremendous power in both hands. I just believe that Francis Ngannou is a little quicker than he is, and if he gets touched with a punch, he's gone. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Derek Lewis with decision.
Okay, so you could have not said that any better. I think people are looking for a war, and it's gonna turn out to be a total bummer of a fight, because people are predicting it to be like these animals who are gonna go in there and just throw punches. I will say that Francis Ngannou is more of a one-sided type of fighter, and Francis going into this fight knowing that his wrestling, knowing that his level of wrestling will prevail in this fight. I do see Derek Lewis winning this fight. But because I want to mix this bitch up, I'm going to go and say I got Francis Ngannou TKO first round.
Woo.
Okay? Right. Am I right or wrong? You just never know, bro. Like, what are you going to say about that? Like, these are two animals going into
Anything could happen. Anything could happen when you got two heavyweights in the octagon. And, who knows? Maybe Francis could get knocked out.
This is probably one of the, I won't say the best, but the most anticipated heavyweight bout that people are going to tune in to watch.
Absolutely.
Which is what makes the Max Holloway situation a freaking bummer, man.
Absolutely. The next fight, last but not least, I think whoever wins between these two fighters, I really do believe is the best pound-for-pound fighter in mixed martial arts. And we're talking about Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. As we know, Daniel Cormier decided to go from a light heavyweight and go back to heavyweight as if people don't know, should I say, he fought in Strikeforce as a heavyweight in the tournament and won.
Somebody, first of all, excuse me, Daniel Cormier wasn't part of the heavyweight division tournament that Strikeforce was having at the time. He's somebody who had to substitute him for somebody who got injured, which I can't recall. It was a last-minute fight that we recall. He went in there and swept that tournament and ended up winning the Strikeforce heavyweight championship.
So when he came into the UFC, he decided to stumble upon the light heavyweight division. He had his run, but of course, as we know, John Jones was always there to terrify him and really couldn't proceed on with that division. 110%. he decides to step up weight versus a guy like Stipe Miocic, as we know, is right now technically one of the greatest heavyweight fighters. He has the most wins in the octagon as a heavyweight, streaks, should I say, winning streaks in the heavyweight division. Whoever wins this fight goes on as the best fighter of all time, is all I'm saying. Damn. Who do you got?
All right, first of all, you can't do that to me. I have something to say about that. First of all, to say that whoever wins this goes on as the best fighter of all time is really hard for me to swallow, and I'll explain. Unfortunately, the only reason why people are saying that is because John Jones, when he fought Cormier and beat Cormier, he got caught with steroids. Now,
which is huge.
I guess
we can't sweep this under the rug, unfortunately.
We cannot. It's how Cormier lost to Jones that makes me think that steroids might have not been part of it. But with that being said, it's so
but
hard.
It was.
But it's hard for me to swallow. It's hard for me to swallow and literally say that those two are going to be the best fighters of all time. Stipe, on the other hand, has swept that division to the point where there is nobody else to fight in that division.
Cain Velasquez needs to come up, is all I gotta say about that.
Okay, but Cain's fight versus Fabricio Verdum in Mexico was probably one of his worst performances, and that's really had set him back, right? But at the end of the day, we're talking about somebody who swept that division, and they have nobody else left to put versus him, that they had to go down weight class to bring somebody else up. With that being said, Stipe wins this fight. Stipe goes down as the best heavyweight fighter of all time. Best fighter of all time? I don't believe so. If Cormier wins this fight, Cormier goes down as the second best fighter of all time. When Demetrius Johnson decides to retire, we're going to figure out which one of those two are going to be the best fighters of all time. That's, mark my words, those words are going to come. And I will tell you this much. Right now, for Demetrius Johnson's legacy, he needs to move up to
I was about to throw that in there.
To lightweight, not lightweight,
to featherweight.
To featherweight, in order for him to really staple the old time, best fighter of all time.
If you don't fight TJ, I don't want to hear it, man. Or be the winner between TJ and Cody.
So even if Cormier wins this fight, I don't have him as the best fighter of all time. I will say Cormier is hands down the most loved and appreciated fighter of all time.
Yeah, I don't know about love, but
okay, maybe not love, but the most appreciated fighter of all time, at least for me. Long story short, who do I have winning this fight? I have Daniel Cormier winning this fight. Not by TKO, but the same way you mentioned Derek Lewis is going to win. A grind out. He's going to take him down, and he's going to grind the bejesus out of him. He's going against a heavyweight fighter. He's going against somebody who is more of a toss-up of picking him up and stuff like that. I see Daniel Cormier win this fight in decision, grinding him out all 5
I got
rounds.
Stipe Miocic winning this fight by TKO. I think Stipe Miocic is going to put work on Daniel Cormier. I know Cormier is going to try to take him down, but I think Stipe has something in store with him. Every time we doubt Stipe, he steps up to the line and does a home run. I do believe that he's going to take this fight.
I will tell you, the only reason why I'm going versus someone like Cormier is because the level of wrestling. I'm not doubting Stipe, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting Stipe, but I will say maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick.
All right.
I got
You got Daniel Cormier. All right. You got Cormier. I got Stipe Miocic. Those are our predictions. As we know, the next podcast we do, whoever loses is taking shots. I guess we'll see you guys next week. Tune into the fights. It's going to be an amazing card. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram on the Will and Rock MMA podcast. On YouTube, make comments, questions, hit us up.
Peace, guys.
Peace.